This is JBigTicket23 from GreenPCGamers.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to configure RAID with the Dell LSI 9341 8i controller. So this is a add-on card, we have it installed into a Dell Precision T7910 Workstation. So the first step for us would be to go into the F12 Setup, like you're seeing here. And basically we want to turn off the integrated LSI RAID controller. You don't have to turn it off, but it's nice to turn it off because it'll speed up your boot time. So go in and disable it, apply it, and that'll basically tell the system that we're not going to use that RAID controller, and it'll boot faster. And yeah, everything's better when things boot faster. Okay, so we're going to kind of teleport. So most of this process takes a lot longer than it will in this video, but we're going to teleport to the different important screens that you need. So this is the post, and it shows you the LSI RAID controller, the 9341 8i. You can see in the top. We have 4 hard drives, which are 4 terabyte drives. So we've got a ton of available storage. And so we're going to create a RAID configuration with those 4 drives. And so because we have 4 drives, we can do RAID 0, 1, 5, or 10. Now, if you're not familiar with RAID, you can look on the screen. RAID 0, you can do with 1 drive. RAID 1, which is mirroring, you can do with 2 drives. RAID 5, you need a minimum of 3 drives. It stripes across all 3 drives. And then there's RAID 10, you need a minimum of 4 drives. So I'm not going to go in deeply on what these RAID configurations, what they do or what they are. You can watch other YouTube videos for that, but this is just the basics. And you can, if you are going for a certain amount of native storage, typically you do RAID 1, 5, or 10 for redundancy. But if there's a certain amount of storage you need, you can configure those RAIDs and see how much it'll give you, and then shoot for that and go with whatever RAID configuration works for that. So we're going to go into post right here. So when your system turns on, it'll go through this post screen, and this is our RAID controller. You're going to let that go through its initialization process, and then we will be prompted to hit the hotkeys to enter the RAID utility. So we're going to go ahead and enter Control R, and that's how we get into this utility. We can see our 4 unconfigured drives. They're 4 terabyte, but it shows this is 3.63 terabyte. That's pretty normal. We're going to go up to no configuration. Let's go back a little bit. That went kind of fast. Back. You're going to go up to no configuration present and hit F2. F2. And then hit create virtual disk and hit enter. So this is the screen where it's going to allow you to pick your RAID level. So you can do 0, 1, 5, or 10. We have 4 drives, and they're 4 terabyte. And so we're going to go with RAID 10 because we want a performance RAID, and it's still going to give us about 7 terabyte native, which is awesome. So we have a ton of redundancy with the system. Okay, that one kind of fast there, but when you go to this screen to select these drives, you hit spacebar on them. Just hit spacebar 4 times. It'll select all the drives. Okay, so it's showing us now that we're going to get 7.276 terabyte native in RAID 10. So that's redundant. That's great. If you did RAID 0, you get almost 16 terabyte. If you did RAID 5, you get about 13 terabyte. It just depends on which RAID you pick. We're going to do RAID 10, get 7.26 terabyte. We're going to name it RAID 10. We'll go into the advanced settings, and we will initialize the drives, which it'll tell you that it's going to delete all the data, which is fine. There's no data. Go ahead and do that. Hit OK. And you tab to go to through those advanced features. Hit tab, and you tab in here to go to OK. So now we have our RAID 10 configuration, 7.27 terabyte. I like to name it RAID 10 or whatever RAID it is, just in case you come back to it and you forget what RAID it is if you have to replace a drive. The initialization is complete. So So our drive state is optimal. So you can go ahead and exit that F2, or not the F2 setup, but the RAID utility, because you've successfully created your RAID. All right, so this is super important. If your RAID volume is going to be larger than 2 terabyte, you need to change your boot settings to UEFI. So we do that in the F2 setup, and we'll show you that here in a second. If your RAID volume is less than 2 terabyte, you can leave it as legacy. Or if you have a different model system, whatever the default setting is. But if you do want to see larger than 2 terabyte, you do have to change it to UEFI. Otherwise, it's only going to give you 2 terabyte usable. It'll show you the storage, but it won't let you use it. Okay, so here's our F2 setup. So to get into this, you reboot the system and then just tap F2 during the black screen. It'll go through the RAID utility first and tell you they have a RAID 1 or a RAID 10 configured, and then you hit F2 and it'll bring you into here. Okay, so your boot settings, you see you've got all of your RAID configuration right there, DVD-ROM, all this good stuff. So we want to go ahead and change this to UEFI. Okay, so now it's going to not give you really any options, but what we will do to load our operating system is once we save this and exit, we will go ahead and tap F12 to enter the boot menu upon the reboot. And you'll have to do this because it most likely is not going to boot to your optical drive, or if you're loading to a USB for like Windows 10 like we are, you're going to have to type hit F12. Okay, so we're in the F12 boot settings. We want to go down to the UEFI, pick the DVD-RW like so. It's going to ask us to hit any key on your keyboard, and let it boot to the Windows utility. Okay, so we kind of fast forwarded here. We already loaded Windows. We're not going to take you through all that stuff. You'll have to figure that out on your own. Right click on your start menu, Windows 10, and we're just going to verify that we have all of that usable storage available. It'll load for us, and as you can see, we have, well, it's showing us almost 7.5 terabyte usable, which is exactly what we want. Everything is working perfectly. It's great. And that's how you configure RAID on a Precision T7910 using an LSI 9341 8i controller. For additional content, please visit GreenPCGamers.com. If you like what you're seeing on the YouTube page, please subscribe. If you like giveaways, we give away a lot of our extra hardware, whether it be graphics card, RAID controllers, hard drives, NVMe drives. Definitely follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then you qualify for those giveaways. If you have live hardware questions, please follow me on Twitch, JBigTicket23. You can ask live questions while we're gaming. Thank you so much for watching.